Welcome, this is episode 40 of the... Welcome, this is episode 40 of the Contextual podcast. A couple of hiccups there. On my own, again, gone for a slightly different format this time. Sort of streaming now through a bit of software called Streamlabs OBS and through Restream.io as sort of like the mainstream dash. So what you do is you put your Mixer, Twitch, YouTube all together. So hopefully... I'm just going to mess about with this. It's coming through on all of them really, live as we speak. I'm just checking it now. Yeah, I'm on my own. Thought I'd do the weekly one today. Steve-O's going to come on now. We decided it's going to be every other week that he comes on and chats and stuff and sort of goes through different things really. So now that we're on Twitter, which is good, so it's working as well as we speak. Like I said, with a few teething problems. What I've got playing on the screen is on the bottom left, which is frozen, which is not down to me, but I think it's down to Xbox. It's the hype zone on Mixer, so I've got PUBG playing, and what the hype zone is, you get to the last 10, 11 people in the game, who's going to win for that chicken dinner, and then you just go through game to game. You can actually get in it. We've not been in it yet. We've had a couple of wins and stuff, but we've not actually gone in it, but it is a good thing, so it's definitely worth it. And we are working on Mix and Twitch at the moment, which is great, so give it a follow. And then yeah, so what you do is it's just playing, and it's dashboarded me because I can just see it now. So we'll go back into Mixer, and it's working, yeah, which is rather good. So I've got a little setup now in this room. I won't be in the famous kitchen that everyone asks about. It'll all be here now. This is where I'm going to do the podcast from, which is great. So I'm just, I think it's just one of them. My back was killing, if I'm being honest. So I had to move from where I was doing the podcast. Absolutely, and I've got a chair now, which is great. So let me just put this hype zone back on. Hopefully it'll run all the way through. That was actually, I don't like dashboarded me. Alright, here we go. You've got like Fortnite and stuff running as well, so you'll see it in the bottom left. Probably a bit more interest in the podcast, but there you go. But you'll see as we go, like this guy we've got in the moment in the bottom 8, so it's like, you know, winner takes all. Who's going to get that chicken dinner? Hopefully we see a couple of them while the podcast's on. So yeah, so this week, I've got a couple of things I want to chat about. I've got a big thank you for Steve-O last week, episode 38. Good to have him back on. He's going to come on, like I say, every other week now because it gives us enough to talk about. And then I've had Steve on from the Las Vegas, UK. Again, great guy. Matt Bridger, the vlogger I'm going on about, he's actually in Vegas now. He's going to be coming on in a few weeks. And I think we're going to try and make a bit of a regular Vegas podcast, which is going to be interesting. So I'll see how that goes. It might be a branch off from the Contextual. It might be a totally different podcast. But, you know, me being the podcast whore that I am, I've got to, you know, get it in there. So we're definitely going to be doing something along them lines. So I'll just see how it goes and see what legs there is in it, really. Now, a couple of things. Go straight into the news again this week. Gaming news. I picked a couple of things out, actually. We've got... ones that are regarding the streaming. This is why I'm doing this, because I'm hosting this on through all my streaming sites, so it's going to be slightly different, but it gets out to more people because more people have been asking about the podcast. So I want to do it. I want to grow the podcast, grow the audience, and you know, it is what it is, really. It's becoming successful. It's something I enjoy, and you know, I can't thank people enough for the help and support I've been given over these last few months and that, you know, because it's just totally new inception of something I've never done properly. You know, I did a podcast for the Figure 4, which was on personal training stuff, and that was good. But then it got to the point where I thought, there's not much legs in it now, and I thought, right, I need to do something different. So this is where all this has come from, and we'll just see how it goes. And hopefully, I get that sort of interaction off everyone and enjoyment really. And I've got quite a few guests coming up, so we'll see. But yeah, if you want to follow us, it's the Contextual Podcast on Mixer, Twitch, YouTube, on Twitter, which is in the bottom right here, is Contextual Pod 1, which is it's my sort of personal account, which I've changed and hybrid into the Contextual. And then if you want to actually listen to the podcast audio, if you're out and about, it's the Contextual Podcast on iTunes, which I put as an example, but you've got Stitcher, SoundCloud, all sorts of different formats. All right, so let's get into it now. Gaming wise this week, Sea of Thieves came out last week, which, as anybody who's listened to the podcast knows, me and Steve have absolutely ripped it. A new one. I've decided to go down the route. If you've not got it and you're unsure, and it's one of the on Mixer anyway, which is obviously Microsoft's streaming platform. It's the second highest, or it was the first highest streamed game last week. It's been quite successful for Microsoft. But if you're still unsure, best way to do is go into the Xbox Games Pass. Every Xbox game now that is being developed by a Microsoft studio will be in the Games Pass, or whether that's a Halo, Gears of War, Forza, they're all going to be in this Game Pass, and it's $7.99 for a month. So what I've done is I've not paid for it. You get a 14-day trial if you've not had it for a while, and you basically go from there. So I downloaded the game, went on playing with some of the lads, Brad, Gabe, one of the American guys. We had Brad's friend Brownie. We were all playing it together last week. I think it was a week ago it came out. Now, I'll be honest with you, I slated the game, absolutely. You know, I tested it at the early stage, like the alpha they call it, which is basically it's in a buildable, playable, it's in a playable version of such, but there's bugs, it's not the final product, and that's where it was, and I just didn't enjoy it. I just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't like the camera angle, because from the first person view, you've got this weird feeling when you're playing it. I just didn't get it. So anyway, I've slated it. Me and Steve, as you know, have absolutely roasted this game. So anyway, gets it, plays it last week, had some cracking games with the lads. Well, we had a couple of games one afternoon, and I'll be honest, I've not played it since. And I tried to put it on, and I just don't think it's for me. And I think I was probably being harsh on the game, because there's a lot of life in it. If you've not got it, then, you know, go for it and try it. You might enjoy it. For me, it's just not my thing. I'm into my shooters and first person shooters, third person shooters, my sports game. It just does nothing for me. So it's a good game for what it is. There's stuff like you can get drunk and you work as a team together, but I found a lot of the AI was just quite generic and basically a piece of piss, if I'm being honest. So we'll see what other people think about it. If you've got a chance, please get on it and, you know, make your own mind up about it, because I just don't want people thinking, oh, here he is again moaning about it. It's just not for me. It genuinely isn't. So yeah, so that was it. So it's up to you. But if you don't want to actually buy it, get it on the Games Pass. There's no excuse to at least try it. And there's plenty of other games on the Games Pass for Xbox, which is there's hundreds of games. The next month's lineup is supposed to be some crackers. So get on it. In regarding Sea of Thieves, one of the news items I'd picked up on was a tech article that Digital Foundry had actually done regarding the game, and they really enjoyed it. They said like the tech and stuff was really interesting, and hold on a sec. Yo JJ, thanks for Jar Jar, sorry, thanks for watching or listening, whatever you're doing there, mate. But yeah, so they've gone down with this. He said it's a great bit of tech. It works across obviously with the X and stuff and the upgrade, and I think the HDR runs a lot better on the S and the X. So that's another article. I'll put these links in the bios at the end of the podcast. And with it being the 40th podcast, I thought, what a way to sort of expand and get new listeners and new followers, watchers, whatever. The next thing is my favourite game, as you all know. I'm absolutely go mad and cream myself over this game, is PUBG. Now, they've got the 4v4 map has been released, really, and there's videos there again. All the stuff I'm linking today is from Eurogamer, I usually go on Eurogamer for stuff. I just find them a lot easier. They've changed the site slightly. The mobile version is a bit of an effort, but it's one of them things. But yeah, so they've this 4v4 map. It's Southeast Asia feel. It's going to be smaller. It sort of just looks like a smaller version of the one that we've been playing, really. But this is obviously on PC, and then they've done like on some of the test servers this weekend. It's been an 8v8 games, which I'm quite interested in because we've got squads there when we play it of like between 4 and 8 we could get together. How that works, I don't know. And obviously, you're going to end up, I mean, thinking logically when I play the game is you're going to actually be playing it and go into the big, maybe it's going to force you to sort of go to the big towns and stuff because you're not going to be able to raid. 8 of you are going to end up with no weapons and stuff if you all go to the little sort of compounds and that. So that's going to be interesting. So you'll be going to places like Nova, the air base, things like that, and just sort of going from there. So that was quite not interesting, but it's an interesting thing because the actual desert map's going to be released. Is it Miramax for Xbox? And I'm saying early spring. Well, it's spring now, so I'm hoping there's something this week and we get some sort of update and we can actually try it. I'm sure it's going to be bug ridden, but you know, basically, who gives a fuck? It's one of them things, in it. So we'll see. And then there's a couple of, well, one of the things that keep me eye on, and I've wanted this for ages, and everyone's wanted this when it comes to the backwards compatibility stuff, is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 being released. Now, it's some of that, even the Xbox official account, the UK one or the official one, is just trolling everyone because even they'll say it's not Modern Warfare 2. You know, everyone wanted Black Ops, they got that eventually. But then there's news that there is actually definitely, and Eurogame confirmed it, there's definitely a remastered version, but there's no multiplayer, which I just find totally bizarre. Now, I don't play Call of Duty anymore because I just don't enjoy this running around in a circles shooting thing. One, because I'm probably not that good anymore, and you know, fair enough. People out there saying, yeah, shut up, Chris, you know, because you crap at it, whatever. You might be right, but I used to get a lot of enjoyment out of the old Call of Duties, and I was half decent at them. But these new ones, I just don't get it. I can play all right and do all right in the team deathmatch, and I used to like Demolition and that. But obviously, I've switched to Battlefield, and now I'm on PUBG, all over PUBG. So it'd be interesting. But Modern Warfare 2 is one of my favourite games. That was up there at the time when it came out around about 2007 with Gears of War. So I'm interested. I'm just gutted that there's no multiplayer. I don't think I'll buy it, to be honest. If it's not got a multiplayer, I just don't see there's any legs in it. And they've done it on purpose, I think, not put the multiplayer in, because people are not going to play the new version, which, when they're saying Black Ops 4, Black Ops has always had a better reception recently than the Modern Warfare games. So I don't see the problem. It's a bit of variation. I probably wouldn't play a lot of Black Ops, but I might play the Modern Warfare 2 if there was a multiplayer. Whether that's, you know, the information isn't correct, but the sources at Eurogamer are saying it's not got it. So, you know, they're usually on the ball. So we'll see on that. So a bit gutted about that. And then gaming-wise, again, is one of the other articles I want to bring up was, it's not actually a game, but it's based on a game, is this Ready Player One by Steven Spielberg, the film that's come out. Now, obviously, it's got a DeLorean on the front, Back to the Future. It seems to be the vehicle they use to drive around this world. I'm not too sure about the film and the whole sort of idea behind it, but a lot of gamers who've seen it have said, like, Spielberg gets gaming, he gets what gamers are about. So I'm interested to see if that, you know, is as good as what they're saying. But I think it's got to be a cinema job. From these reviews, and Eurogame have done a good review on it, and they've just said, like, you know, it's they just get gamers, really. There's obviously going to be some plot holes in it and that which don't make sense, but for me it looks quite good, so I think it's definitely going to be a cinema job if I'm going to go and watch it. And really, that's it for news. I didn't want to go too mad on it and fucking bore you senseless, especially with it being on different platforms today. But game wise, there's not really much else to talk about. It's the quiet season really for games coming up, and there's not a lot happening really, so we'll just see. There was stuff on, I think Fortnite's got some things coming out, and obviously Fortnite mobile's out, PUBG's out on Android, and obviously, I said to you the other week, I've got it on from the Chinese iTunes account, and I think it's going to be coming out on sort of iTunes very soon. So I mean, a lot of people have said it's quite good, but I just think you need a controller for something like that. So it'll be quite interesting to see where that one leads. Now, forget all that. We're straight on to other things now. One of the things I wanted to talk about was I saw some boxing at weekend. Lucas Brown was against Dillian Whyte over in the UK. Heavyweight sort of title eliminator. Now, Lucas Brown's the Aussie boxer. I know family and friends who know him really well in Australia, and I've met him say he's a lovely bloke. But he was like the heavyweight champ about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and there was loads of talk of him fighting Tyson Fury. Now, I know he trains and comes over and trains out of Ricky Hatton's gym up in Hyde near us in Manchester. And he was like the next big thing, unbeaten, you know, this big, strong Aussie bloke. But he got popped twice now for taking illegal substances, you know, and he got banned, basically. Now, anyone who knows anyone, and someone who does sort of personal training and that, and I do it from a totally different point of view, the fitness industry's sort of, the fitness industry is built on taking supplements. You can't genetically get that body. There's only a few people could get and maintain a under 10% body fat, and he didn't have that sort of body. But for the muscle memory and sort of repair of your body, he's got popped, and you could physically see against Dillian Whyte on Saturday the physical change in his body. You know, obviously he's going to be fit. He's probably fitter than what I am, but you could just tell that he obviously isn't doing anything or doing anything dodgy that he should do. But he just looked real. I don't know, he just looked real fleshy and out of shape, and you could tell. I mean, Dillian Whyte was just catching him overhand right, and the right uppercut were just dropping bombs on him, and he just seemed to struggle with that. And really, it was an absolute beating. And by about like the 5th, 6th round, they just kept saying like, you know, it needs stopping, which it did. It needed stopping. I just felt sorry for him. I just really felt sorry for him in the end. And obviously, these guys are absolute machines, absolute animals, you know, and they won't stop for nobody. You know, they hit hard like anything, like in the UFC, and especially a professional boxer. They're absolute lethal. But I mean, Dillian Whyte there's calling out. He wins. He knocks him out in the 6th round. If you do see it, it's a hell of a knockout. Left hand. It's really gruesome because he was out for a long time. Lucas Brown, it's quite scary, to be honest. I just don't think he's going to go anywhere now. Like, he's 38 years old. I just don't think there's any legs in it, and it's sad, but it just looks out of his depth. If he goes up against anybody, I mean, I don't rate Dillian Whyte that much. I know Joshua beat him, and he was obviously beat Joshua in the amateurs. That's on YouTube if you get a chance, but it just didn't sit very well with me. It looked dangerous, if I'm being honest. The whole fight, everything just looked real dangerous. So we'll see on that. But Dillian Whyte's called out Deontay Wilder, who I really want to fight Anthony Joshua. As long as Joshua, who's fighting Joseph Parker this weekend, wins, then we could be on for. I'm hoping it's probably going to be in Vegas, because when I go to Vegas later on this year, it might be on, and it usually is around October, November. So we'll just have to see. I mean, I probably won't even get a ticket, but it'll be a great birthday present. We've been 4-0 this year. And then, I don't know, Joshua's fighting Parker, and people saying like some of Parker's fights have been slow and cumbersome, but he can hit, you know, and he's not undefeated for a reason, you know, he's undefeated for a reason, sorry, because he's good. He's a good boxer, and I know, like in some of the other divisions, there is a bit of a vintage fighters who going up against each other and that, and in the heavyweights, he's really coming back. And Tyson Fury's the one. He's like the sort of wild card that no one can understand. And he's boxed and sparred with Anthony Joshua, and I think Joshua's just got to either blow Tyson Fury away, because otherwise Tyson, if he does ever fight him, he'll just lean on him. He'll lean on him and wear him down. He's not bothered for 12 rounds if he's got to do that. I just don't know whether, because he gasses because of the muscle he carries, Joshua. It's whether he can sustain it. I actually think Joshua's a bit like Conor McGregor at the moment, where he's got a cardio problem. When I've watched him, and this is only from a fan's point of view, don't get this twisted like I'm some fucking professional boxer, because I'm not. It's just more because of the muscle he's carrying. I mean, Conor McGregor could carry the muscle, but Conor McGregor's thing's slightly different in how he gasses is due to the way he does his road work and that's been well documented. I mean, Joshua, I follow him on social media. He puts the hours and time in and that. I just don't think, because of the size of him, it's a lot to carry around, and he seems to deplete him in about the 4th, 5th round. I mean, he's got a second wind, obviously, in the Klitschko fight and the Dillian Whyte fight. The second round, he got dropped. He got wobbled, and then he did come back, but there was a couple of rounds there where he was on hanging on for dear life. So I just think sometimes this thing with Joshua, and it's great, he's a great boxer and everything, and it's like, you know, the UK needs this, and it could be one of them where he goes up against someone who can actually punch as hard as him, and he may struggle, not because of his chin, just because of his gas tank and that. If someone's willing to trade with him, I actually think he may beat Joshua. He might have a bit of a Bruno where he's hanging on the ropes with his head back. You never know this weekend. So that isn't. If I was going to bet on something like this. It's very rare a bet on it. I'd probably go at the Parker in about the 7th, 8th round just to see. You never know, because he struggled against that Taku who fought. Oh, sorry about that. He struggled against Taku who fought a few months ago, and that was he just couldn't put him away. And Joshua looks about a foot and about 2 stone heavier than him. He just looked like in a totally different weight group. So we'll see on that. I was going to talk about England, but I really can't be bothered wasting my time. The national team is a disgrace. They're obviously going to be going to Russia this year, which is just going to be a joke. We've seen all the stuff in the press with the Dutch police and kicking 10 tons out of each other. I just don't think. I just don't get excited about watching England anymore. I mean, I watched this Gaza thing that's on Netflix, and watching some of the stuff they did with England, and knowing how much I loved Gaza, even as a United fan, I loved Gaza. I always wish he'd gone to Old Trafford, and you've seen how passionate they were through the 90s, you know, Euro 96, World Cup 1990, Italia 90 and stuff, and there's just no excitement there now. It's just pure politics. It's been politics for years. You know, you had the whole Gerrard, Scholes and Lampard debate, you know, and it's not really a debate. You either go with two and we don't, and it sucked the life out of me. All the stuff that Beckham went through, and obviously we had the stuff with Phil Neville in the Euros as well in like 2000. It just seemed to be, I mean, obviously I'm a United fan, so it's going to be like, oh, he just dinged, moaning that, but I was as passionate for England as anybody, you know, I absolutely love it, but it just leaves me cold now. And I don't, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm probably going to turn into, as much as I'm a big football fan and I watch footy all the time, irrespective of whether it's United and that, I'll always watch football from any country and that, but I just think I'm turning into a fair weather fan because I just don't care anymore. I mean, you know, you've got Rashford, Lingard scored the other night playing for England. I mean, you've got Chris Smalling, who, whether I'm a United fan or not, that guy shouldn't even be playing for anybody. He's absolutely terrible. But the England team's just laced with bang average players who can't even get into their first team of their actual clubs, and then the whole country's expected to get behind them. At least when we had this sort of golden era with Ericsson in charge, we actually had people who were interested and sort of wanted to play for the team. These guys just, I don't know, they just don't want to. It just doesn't interest me. I genuinely wish that I could be passionate about it, but I just can't. And you know, I want them to win, and I'll probably turn into a fair weather fan, but the years of where I've had my hair dyed and I've had the shirts and all that stuff to support, and that won't be happening. You know, I went on holiday in '98 to Benidorm with the lads, and we watched all the group games in Lineker's bar there, and we all dyed our hair blonde, and you know, stupid really, but it was in support of England, you know. So, hi Brad. Yeah, Manchester United have got 3 cups in Europe, 3, not 2, but 3 cups in Europe. I think Liverpool, how many have Liverpool got, Brad? This is, Brad's just joined the chat. Obviously, this is a live podcast, so I've got the chat finally open. I'm just waiting for Brad to come back to tell me how many Liverpool have got. But yeah, so we'll just have to see, because England is just atrocious. Yeah, he's laughing. I mean, I was going to ask Brad how many Premiership titles, which is, you know, you knew that was coming next, but I can't actually do that on my hand properly, can I? Because there's actually 0. Anyway, moving on from the football, and this is payback now because I've been adrenaline on him and slated him when he's been doing his streams. So touche, I nod my head in approval. What's the next subject? Oh yeah, next one is the UFC's on in a couple of weeks. The UFC 223, which I keep going on about. You've got some cracking fights. I mean, anyone who's not a UFC fan or MMA fan, please watch these fights. It's on the 7th of April. And it's going to, honestly, absolute class fights. I mean, I'm probably saying this, and the 2 title fights, which are going to be 5 rounds, will probably just lay on top of each other. One of the men's one potentially could be, because Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's from Dagestan, he's a Russian absolute animal of a wrestler. So he may sit, but he's fighting Tony Ferguson. He's unbeaten, and then Tony Ferguson is on a 10-fight streak, win streak. As I said last week, but the winner will face Conor McGregor. That's why there's so much interest in this event. And then you've got Joanna and Jacek, who was the ex-champ, got sparked out against Rose Namajunas. Now, this is the video. What it is, this rematch, was there was a video went around social media regarding bullying. And Joanna and Jacek's a really nice person, but when she's in fight mode, she's horrible. And she proper gets on it and stuff. And she's really like giving it like, you're a little girl, I'm going to beat you. And this Rose is like not into the trash talking. She just stood there looking, and it was quite a good video. It's on YouTube, and she just cleaned her out. She was totally the underdog, and from nowhere she just got absolutely dropped. So there's some, honestly, some great fights on that night. Please, if you can get it, and I've said to you before, if you haven't got BT and that, get on MMA Core the next day, because all the fights are on there, and it's brilliant. You can just watch the fights. But like I said last time, the tip is, the fights, you can tell by the videos how long the fights lasted. So if it's 15 minutes or it's in 3 parts, you know it's going to a decision pretty much, or it's ended in a 3rd or 5th round. If it's a quick one and it's a 5-minute video, you know that it's not a bad thing. You know there's going to be a knockout or a submission of some sort, so it's quite interesting. So yeah, get on that. WWE news. We're flicking through these subjects as quick as possible. WrestleMania obviously is coming up. Undertaker v Cena keeps being teased. He's been, obviously, Kane's come in and had a few fights with him as his supposed brother. And, you know, it's all set up. And I think there's only 2 weeks till WrestleMania. So I think at some point we may see The Undertaker the week before to challenge him to the fight. So I'll just see how that goes. What else have we got? Yeah. Oh, and the other one, obviously, my gamer tag, as you all know, is Hulkamania, and there's a it's just shocking, absolute shocking. Oh, my mate Bibby's as well, and we've got Brad's on at it again across all the platforms. Yeah, he's gone on YouTube now with these Liverpool songs. Anyway, Bibby's watching. Nice one, Bibby. We're not playing anything. If you're asking what we're playing, I'm not playing anything actually. I've just got PUBG, the Hype Zone on Xbox. It's just basically when you get to on Mix, you get to down like the last 15 or 10. Certain people will get picked out at random, and you'll have everyone watching. It's a bit like a live TV channel. See if you get that chicken dinner. They do it for Fortnite and that, as I said before. So, sorry I missed your message there. And the fact that Brad's gone across 2 of my different streams and put Liverpool questions on means he's getting deleted. Yeah, get back to the chicken, back-to-back chicken. Oh yeah, Brad's made a good point actually. Now this is where I will get called out. We were playing PUBG yesterday. We got in some really, really good streamers. A friend of Brad's called Dan. I can't remember his actual name. You'll have to type the name in for us, Brad. But really, really good. And his friend Spamasaurus, I think he was American or Canadian. And we went on a 4-player squad on PUBG. And I've got my first ever back-to-back chicken dinners. But as in only the Chris Phelps Hulkamania 78 shithousery way, we went back-to-back chicken dinners, and I got fucking no kills. That's how good I was. I was just stealthing to the max. That's how good things went for us in that game. But yeah, really good and good streaming. So like with Brad, obviously me and Brad play chicken dinners. We play PUBG quite a lot together, literally every day. And Brad's gamer tag, if anyone wants to give him a follow, and that on Mixer is Brad MG. And give him a follow, please, because he knows his stuff. He's better than me at the game, to be fair. And it's even live when I've said that, mate, so I must mean it. Unfortunately, I do. And we've got Mark, another good friend of Brad's, and become good friends with me now. Insert many coins, meaning we're always on. We're the cannon fodder, really. And like I say, there's a few good people to follow. We've got some couple of the American guys and that who are in the army, who Brad's met through his streaming channel, and I've sort of added them as friends, and they're good, really good at it. So just give us a follow. If you see us on Mixer, give us a watch and stuff. We're all a bit of a squad together. Like I said before, with this 8v8 comes out, it's going to be interesting to see whether we can actually do much on it. He's put me right off now with these Liverpool things, but there you go. What else have we got to talk about? Oh yeah, well, one of the things, it's not regarding the contextual really, is the Comics in Motion podcast, which I do with my good friend Mr. Dave Horrocks. We're on episode 6 now. We've reviewed The Losers, 2010 Vertigo Comics film, very much an A-Team job. You know, it's a cut and paste. It was actually out before the A-Team remake with Liam Neeson. Good film, good review. Enjoyed it. Throwaway film. Give the podcast a listen on podcast.com, iTunes, Stitcher, all the platforms. It's Comics in Motion. It's got a red icon, and you'll hear my dulcet tones as the podcast whore that I am across all of them. Now, I'm going to do this on the podcast because we keep saying this, and we never cross paths on this, but I want Brad to come on. Whether we talk about United and just slate each other rotten and Liverpool, it's fine, but we game a lot. Brad's got really good knowledge of gaming, a lot better than mine, and he's worked within the industry, and he knows his stuff, and he knows various different things that, you know, I'm well beyond my sort of pay grade. But he's just got like such a good knowledge, so it'll be interesting to get him on. And then obviously I can fucking slate him then about Liverpool on my own podcast. I can even mute him if he starts, as long as he don't start singing that fucking Walk On, we're all right. Anyway, only joking, mate. But yeah, that guy's channel I was telling you about, Dan, is it's hard to pronounce. I'm gonna have to put this in the link, but Ergez TV, so it's EHRGEIZ TV, and that's on Mixer, and he's a good friend of Brad's. I will put the link on in the actual bio of the podcast because he's quite a big streamer, and it was good fun, to be fair. It was good fun to actually play with someone who, you know, is good and above my level, and I sort of piggybacked onto it and just absolutely nailed the chicken dinners, which were totally undeserved, but you know, there you go. But yeah, so Brad, I've got no excuses for you now, pal. You're coming on, whether you like it or not, whether we do it. We were thinking of doing one. It was Brad's idea, actually, where this has come from, putting it on these platforms to try it out, and I'll do that when I have my normal guests on, whether, you know, it's talking about gaming or not. I'm just going to use this platform now all the time for the podcast. But we were going to try maybe a live podcast as we play PUBG, or we play it. It probably will be PUBG, to be honest. You know, he's coming on soon. He said he's coming on soon. Yeah, as long as he doesn't wear his Liverpool shirt, and plus I can actually mute the camera, which is even better. But we'll do a live podcast, I think, as we're playing and see how it goes. So I did it with FIFA, obviously with my family. I'll have to get them lot on again because that seemed quite popular. And yeah, I think that's it really. It's a quick half-hour podcast. This was more just to test out. Oh yes. Yeah, actually, Brad's just Brad knows his stuff here. It's not that long of a podcast. What we're going to do, definitely, we can do it on this now, both of us, because Brad streams as well through OBS or Slob Streamlabs OBS. Is we're going to do a live E3 reaction on the actual conferences. Now, Brad's got loads of experience about this because he's actually been to E3 and he's been to Gamescom and that, you know. And it's one of my ambitions to go as like a press person at some point and actually go and instead of watching it on the sort of computer and TV and that through IGN and the Xbox or the Xbox, is to actually go and see the reveals, because I love all that sort of anticipation. If you're not a gamer, you won't get it, but it's just great seeing like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and just some of the games, and they're usually the best ones for me. I do like that. I am biased really towards Xbox. I always have been the last few years. I love their reveal, and plus they're usually on sort of UK friendly times. I know it's usually on about 9 o'clock in the morning over in LA, so we usually get it about 5-6 o'clock. So what we're going to do, me and Brad, is we'll work something out where we get 2 or 3 of us. It's pretty much a format that you see on most of the game channels, where you've got 2 or 3 of us together sort of chatting, whether we're together chatting or we're going to be in separate, you know, in our own separate places, where our offices or whatever, doing it. But there will be like live reactions, which is good. So stick around on that one. We're just trying to put that together. Now, I think that's it. Unless Brad wants to throw me another suggestion that I've missed, because I'm sure there's always something I've missed. Coming up, I've not got anything really. This, oh, he's now actually shooting me down already. He's right. It's 10 PM this year, Xbox. It's usually about 5-6 o'clock, and Sony one's always 2 AM because I usually get up about 4, and I sort of go on Eurogamer and go backwards on the actual reveals and that. But the Xbox One and stuff, I do usually watch EA, so maybe in 10 PM I'll still be watching it. Whatever happens, it'll be on Xbox, but we'll definitely get the stream going so we can watch it, can have it running in the same format, which is great. So yeah, so stick around with that, everyone. For the audio listeners, Brad is proper taking names now. He's getting me back, but he's had this thing about United. I'm going back on United now because he's got me going. Now this podcast's going to end up being about 3 hours long. United have released, well, they've not released anything, but Brad's jumped on this article, which wasn't even true, that there was a song sheet suggestion at one of the fan forums with the club, and the club dismissed it if you read the article, but oh boy has he jumped on that, because basically they're saying that the fans are terrible, you don't know any of the songs or whatever he's saying. I do not honestly know, but I must admit I was actually at Old Trafford a few weeks ago when we played the Mickey Mousers, and to say they were quiet was an understatement, especially when it went 2-0 down, even though they did come back in the second half, but it just wasn't good enough. But there's plenty of singing going on then. But I do agree that in certain instances, the atmosphere is pretty poor at Old Trafford, depending on the game. It seems to be game by game. If it's a big team, the atmosphere will be great, and then other games, it can't be. So I do accept some of that on the chin, and as a paying customer, you know, I do understand where that's come from. But this song sheet thing is absolute nonsense, because the thing is, they would not hand a song sheet out, and he's got me going now, because why would they hang a song sheet out they might give to kids when most of the songs have got swearing in? So there's no way that's even happened. Other than Glory, Glory, Man United, most of the songs have got swearing in. So I just can't see it. I mean, like I was telling Brad last week, the Park, wherever you may be, song, which he knows well. Yeah, cheerleaders, he's saying. He was saying cheerleaders. We're not Crystal Palace. There's none of that cheerleading stuff. But yeah, they haven't done that, but they did do an experiment at Old Trafford, that where the away fans are, which is the L stand, they actually put the home fans in against Brighton, and then the Brighton fans are in the top tier, which should work. But when you're playing against some of the other teams, I've been there in the East Stand, and you're getting pelted by some of the sort of scumbag teams. I'm not saying who they are, Brad, but you know, they're happy to throw their money away at that one, 50p's at your head and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know whether that's going to work, having our fans below the away fans. Not all of them, but even in Europe I've had it when we played against some of the Spanish teams, and that just lobbing stuff over the top and gobbing down and stuff. I know every team's the same and fans are the same, but we'll see on that, Brad. Thank you, mate. Anyway. Oh, he said, I've been below that top tier covered in spit. I'm not saying a word. Anyway, this has been episode 40, and it's good actually. It's the first one, new format, new little studio that I put together with basically the stuff I've already got around the house. I had a tidy out, and I'm just going to go forward with this, and I'm going to do it across Mixer, Stitch, and YouTube, and I think it'll get more people involved in the podcast, and get, if you want to come on, get some more guests on. I know this time I always do the live podcast at an unusual time for most of. Yeah, love you too, pal. He now loves me. I now do the podcast at unusual times because of work, because I finish early, so I do them in the afternoon. So I know audience wise I should do another one in the week, which I will do now I've got this format right. If there's certain things I'll jump on because it'll go across when everyone's there, but the audio links will follow, so I'll get them on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. It'll all follow this week, so if you are subscribed, then you know I'll put them up probably on Thursday. But please, you know, give us a follow. Give me a follow on my streaming channels as well, because I'm going to be streaming across all of them now. On Mix, it's the same thing, Contextual Podcast. You can see on the screen, it's Contextual Pod 1 on Twitter, and obviously on iTunes, just Contextual Podcast. And then we'll just go from there. So thank you for watching, and thanks Brad for having a bit of a Q&A, because I got told off last week because he was asking questions and I totally ignored him, which I hadn't done on purpose. So now I've got the chat thing going, I can see it and you can see them coming through, so I've got no excuse. And this has been episode 40 of the Contextual Podcast. We are over and out. See you later, Brad.